It's been a little while since I've made a video. Having friends and family to stay over the Christmas period, and I must admit the loss of my mojo since Telford. Completely modelled out, speaking about models for the whole weekend and paint. As a lot of you know, I'm involved with Alclad, so we were at Telford with the fantastic show, and thanks to everybody who come and said hello. It's now the 28th of December 2017, and I need a quick fix to get me back into the constant builds that I generally do. So what I've chosen is Eduard's fantastic Spitfire, in a different guise this time, as the Aussie 8. Now the kit itself, there are two kits in here, the dual combo. This kit was supplied by a really good friend, Jürgen, from Germany, who was at Telford with us and has sent myself and Mick Burr some lovely kits to build. This is one of them, so I'm going to do that. Along with the kit comes an absolutely fantastic reference book with everything you need, and I've opened the book up at what I'm interested in doing, which is the all metal version. Although it wasn't all metal, they were actually painted with high speed silver, as they called it. But the book is a fantastic reference, and I will be using that quite a few times throughout the build. I have already opened this up and I've got the runners ready and what have you. So just to show you what's roughly in the box, you've got two full kits, two sets of photo etch and so forth, and your lovely instruction book. Now I'm just going to get that out for a second, put that to one side. Now I've done dark earth, dark green Spitfires, ocean grey and dark green Spitfires, but this time I believe there's one in there. I think there's 20 odd different Spitfires in this wonderful set of kits. But I've actually chosen this one just for its difference with the white tail, the white gun surrounds, or what that would be called, the ice. They're ice strips, white ice strips instead of the usual yellow. We've got a lovely red nose, we've got the black cowling and front windscreen. That's the actual one I'm aiming to do. So let's hope we can get it done and get it looked at and make a decent build of it. As I said, this is a mojo builder. I need to get back into it. I've had 2 months off it nearly. It has hit me hard. We'll see. We'll see how we go. Anyway, right, on with the build. Right, so we're straight into the cockpit area of this kit. I have built a few of these before, as I've said earlier. They are absolutely superb kits. What we can do, what I tend to do, is make a lot of the parts up and spray it all in one hit with the airbrush. But what I'm going to show you first is how we remove parts from the sprues. So we want, first of all, our parts on the F fret. There is only 4 frets of this, 4 frets per kit. So we go straight to the first fret. Now, the first, or one of the major tools that I've used since I've started back modelling. When we were a kid we just twisted them off. Nowadays we're looking to keep everything as simple as possible. So we've got this one here. Now these are Citadelle Cutters. I like these, they are the cleanest ones I've ever come across, and all we do is we come up from underneath, we have the cutters flush against just the points, and we nip it off. Now with my history with these kits, I've done different things to get them ready for painting, but what I like to do is to leave these two parts on and just snip off the runner, just like so. And all we do is get a peg it up, and it'll stand up very easily and very simply, just as a holder for when we spray. What we'll do is now we'll build this one up, and we'll go from there. First of all, just take the top of that tag off with a very fine sanding stick, just to get rid of any damaged part that might be left. And then we're going to look for our other parts, get those off. So what I'll do, I'll get those off and I'll come back when we're ready to glue them. Right, what I've done now, I've removed quite a few parts from the sprues, and what I'm going to do, I've cleaned them up. What we're going to do, we're going to build a few of them together now and get ready for painting. So glue of choice, Tamiya extra thin cement, or TET as a lot of people call it. Works very well with the plastics. We're also going to be using super glue, because we'll be using some photo etch on this unit. So first things first, we're going to get our sidewalls, go back to the instruction, get our sidewalls together, have a quick look, see where the parts go. As I said before, I'm going to glue it all together first, and then I'm going to pick out the details with a small brush. So we've got all our parts together. Those ones go with that one, those two go with that. We've got our little bits and pieces. What we're going to do, work out where parts go. So starting from the top, all we're going to do is lay the parts on, offer them up, make sure they're correct and sitting right, like that one. Oh, we're a piece missing, F42, which is the round trim wheel. It's a little bit of a bigger one. Let's trim that off the sprue or the tree, whatever people want to call it. Tidy it up, lay it down, put a tiny amount of glue where the trim wheel's going to sit. And just push her in like so. Then we have a cover of some description which goes down here. So we just a little tiny bit of glue around that. the small part has got a piece dropped out of it, which is nice. So we just check the orientation, and that should just sit like so. And then we have the tray, which sits across. What I do is just touch and let the glue flow around. And we'll, that bit, check we got it all correct. Make sure that the guide hole lines up, just like so. Now we have got some oxygen bottles, which are here, which are there already on a cocktail stick, ready to be sprayed. So that's that side wall done. Straight to the other one. Checking our references. So at the front we've got our little cover. Get the part, make sure the orientation, again, lift her up, oops, there, and on, spin around until we're happy with the position that she's in. Now this girl has 2 join points, and we start holding on to that lever and place it on like so. As I said, we'll pick out the details shortly. So that one then can go onto a peg as well, ready to be sprayed. We now have the seat, or the back of the seat, just here like so. That fits on at the bottom. Just checking the fit. So it literally goes on like so. Now I've got a little bit of a short shot for the small mould for the hole, so I'll just open it up a little bit just to allow it in, and then having a second look. And make sure it goes flat, which it nearly does. So what I'm going to do is just trim a hair off that, and we'll dip some glue on. Then we'll take this piece, line her up like so, a quick touch in and a small touch at the top of the bars with the glue, and that'll hold that nicely in place. Then we come to the first of the photo etch parts, which will be the armoured piece of armoured area behind the pilot seat. Now, this glue is old, it's thick, and it takes a little bit to get out of here, so just bear with me for a few seconds. We don't want a lot. I just want enough to get on to do a couple of the pieces we have to do, just like so. And we come to our photo etch. A bit wide. Now, photo etch. There are two pieces involved with this, which we're going to need later as well, so we'll take them with that. Now, my way of removing photo etch is with a razor blade, just on my standard mat. That's all I ever found a problem. It's the easiest way of doing it. So you push the blade up to the edge and just snick off the parts from the photo etch sheet. So there is our armoured piece for behind his head. And I'll soon whip this bit off. Like so. And there we go, two nice flat clean pieces. Cocktail stick to allow easy application of the glue, and checking our parts and holes. And we're just going to rub or lay a little piece of CA super glue. My preferred choice is Gorilla Glue, an American import in the UK, which I think is fantastic. And then we're going to pick up, put that over there out of the way, pick up our piece of armour plating, place over the holes, use the other end of the cocktail stick and just press her down so she's on. As simple as that. The next part is putting our rudder stick together, of which there are three parts. There's the other bit. Wherever it went, there it is. So we'll keep that aside for now. First thing we need to do is to attach our head to the top of the joystick, which fits nicely. A little tiny bit of tape around the top. Now, don't put this on dead straight. This is slightly at an angle. I've got to just work out what angle that's going to be. So she's on, in place. Stand it up a little bit. As I said, it's not straight, so don't glue it straight. Just like that. And what we'll do is we'll put that down for a moment. I want that glue to go off a little bit because we're going to end up putting a little bit of photo etch on that handle in a moment. So then we move on to the seat, which seems to have lots of different bits as usual. What we'll do, we'll just don't break off the tags at the back, whatever you do. And we just hold the seat in place to the right angle, and we just touch the glue on it, hold it for a few seconds, making sure it's in exactly where you want it to be, just like that. And then we can get the second part. Again, I've cleaned all these up earlier, and we sit the bucket of the seat in, and just touch and let the glue flow around. Making everything that the glue touches glues in, just lining it all up so that it's spot on like that. So that's perfect. That can sit for a moment, maybe not. We'll have the armed piece, another piece of ornament. This time I'm going to do it slightly different. I'm going to put the whole thing over, just over top like that. I've still got my glue, my super glue, and I'm just going to touch around. This will just stop the part coming off. It doesn't need anything more than that. And that's all we need to do to that. And again, using the stick we used, she's on there nicely. Now all we need to do is to put the seat control on. So we're just checking the references. Not that I ain't done hundreds of these before, but hey ho. You can see where it goes. It goes in that little slot there. And we pick her up. Checking again, see how it actually sits. There. And sitting her on. Whoop. Bit fiddly, bit more glue. Soften the area up a little bit. That's right. That's better. And just put it into place. And again, we'll paint that whole as unit as one, and we'll come back and spray the whole lot together. So from the seat we're now on to the floor area. Pardon me. Not the easiest bit to get right. Just making sure we've got all the bits we require. So that bit goes on like that. And what we'll do, just from the inside, 1, 2. Again, on and glued. The next bit goes on to the front. So it's this piece. Checking your orientation of everything. So that goes to the front, and just touch of glue to hold up. And that's placed on like so, and a little bit of glue from underneath. Just to make it nice and straight, and then we have the front unit, checking on which way it goes, which is just like that. So that'll hold itself for a second, and all we'll do is put a tiny drop of glue along everything so that it holds in place, and that should be, everything should be square-ish to everything else, which that bit is. Okay, that can stay there for a few moments. We're going to use the photo etch, so we'll use the nice plain one to begin with. So all around that area is glued and it's slid on just like so. Now we have the compass, without the compass in it at the moment, obviously, the compass holder, and that just sits in at the back. See if I can get it in with my fingers, just like so. Straightening it up, it should be slightly off centre, and that's that firewall. Right, next part, just checking around. We have another tiddly piece of photo edge. When I say tiddly, it is. This is the brake handle, which goes on with the joystick. So I'm just taking that off very carefully. Just like that. And that's free. So we've got our glued joystick. Again, checking our orientation, so it's from this direction and it fits just there. We've got our super glue still, and there's a tiny weeny bit of super glue just where that's going to go. Now this bit is a little bit more awkward, so I'm going to use a cocktail stick, wet it. How does that tend to work? And it ain't going to because I got it on camera. And I'm just going to lay the part on, and then I can arrange it to exactly how I want it to go. Needs to go over a lot as yet. That's it. Just want to see where it sits. There we go. You can hardly see that on camera, I wouldn't have thought. In fact, I can't get it to pick it up, but it looks good. It's another piece of detail on it. And we're all about detail. And then we have one last bit for the yoke, which is a square hole. I just put a little tiny bit of glue in there. And I've got that bit, and that goes nicely on there. Now that will sit there and glue and seal. Right, so all the parts are now ready for paint that we've got done. I'm just going to get a few little bits out to give a little bit of paint to. Right, so first of all, Alclad 2 ALK 309 black primer and microfiller. Now I've got my compressor set at about 8 to 10 psi, about half a bar, and then over the top of that we've got ALK AC or Alclad 2 mil-specs ACE LCE 012, which is the British Interior grey green from the time. So first things up, we've got all the parts ready. give our primer a bit of a shake. So it's all ready to go. And all we're going to do is tip a very small amount in, cleaning the colour cup as we go. Check our flow, just to make sure we've got a nice even flow, which we have. Now, first thing, just find a way of holding that, which is easy. Put that in the holder for a moment, and we're going to put that up through there. Lovely job. So our basic cockpit is all done and ready to go. If I bring in a little bit, as you can see, that it's all done, all ready to rumble. Hasn't seemed to focus very well for some reason, but there you go. So we'll get some paint onto this. Excuse me for a second and bring the light over there so that I can see as well. Here we go. All we're going to do, get the paint, very lightly blow it in with primer. People were asking on a Facebook page that I follow, there was a gentleman asking about primer or no primer. This, to me, when we're using primer, is where the weathering process starts. I tend to use black primer on most things, specifically to get that dark, dirty, shadowy look that most World War II aircraft and even up-to-date aircraft actually have. So that's looking pretty good. Making sure all the black is there. Into the sea. Making sure there's plenty in there. And underneath, just in case there's shadows. Just like that. That's the first part. Now, the oxygen bottles I saved, because I'm actually going to spray them grey on their own. They want to be grey or a beige colour. There's always a bit of an argument on to what colour they were in wartime. And I'm just going to get a light coat of primer all over, making sure you're getting into every little crook and cranny, because as I said, this is what gives you the shadowy effect you'll see shortly when we do the grey green. Okay, so that's all on nicely on that one. This one I've attached a bulkhead, so that's in position, ready. So and we're just going to lay the paint, the primer down, covering everything but not too thick. Plaster up and you will hide detail up. Let's see a bit more light on the subject. Oh boy, eye syndrome. That's looking lovely. And then we've got our joystick or control column, whatever you want to call it. Just like so. So that's on. What else have I got here? Anything else? No. Right, so we're going to go straight into the internal section of our Spitfire, making sure we get all the edges, anywhere where it might show, just like so, up the back area as well, just like that. Turn her around and we'll just plonk some paint onto this section. And again, getting the paint just in so that all the areas are covered and looking really good. Now while I've got the black in here, the door, there are so many different doors, I need to know which one we're going to use. I believe it's towards the end of our build. I might be wrong. Right, so we're looking at F70. Open canopy, open door. It'll be an open canopy, so we're going to go for that. So it's F70. Just hook that up for a sec. F70 door, that one on the end. So we'll just literally put a little bit of paint on there. That's ready. Right. Now, people tend to ask me a lot, is Alclad easy to clean up? The answer to that is yes. Just going to push some through into my cleaning bus, pot even, put the lid on. Okay, now in this pot here, it's an old Vallejo pot, because they're easy for use. All I'm going to do, in this pot I have cellulose thinners. And all I'm going to do is just dip it around. Jiggle it about like that, as you can see. Just rubbing it around the edge. Then I'm going to tip that away onto a paper towel. And then I'm going to blow it through. Then I've got to take a little tiny bit more thinners. And holding the towel, just blow it back. And as you can see in there, it's just dirty water. Clean up the cup and the end of the brush, and you blow it. It's still a bit grubby, so you get your third time, just a tiny weeny bit. That's all we need. A quick blow, blow through, and then blow through the airbrush out into the pot until it's all gone. It's clear. Now, if I just tip a minor amount in there, you'll notice we're blowing clear. That airbrush is clean and ready to use in what? Less than, if I went explaining, that'll probably do it in 30 seconds. Have it all cleaned up. Right, that can go back over and out of the way. Now we come in with our first lot of colour, which is British Interior Green in mil-spec. So that's what's up next. Only want a little tiny amount. I'd rather go back for more than have too much in the brush and spill it. Check our flow again. She's coming out nice. Getting her parts and making sure anything that could be seen gets a small amount. Now what we're looking for on these parts is to get a little bit of a shadowing effect. So we're not looking to blast the colour on, we want to build it up. As I said, we're using about 8 to 10 psi. And we just build up the colour nicely. Heavier in places, lighter in places. Remember, we're going to pick out the detail anyway. Making sure we get all the areas and literally not blasting it, giving a nice even coat. Well, I say even, I don't even want it even, I want it just a normal coat. And there you go, that's in your grey green. It's your grey green effect. So we'll just do this bit quickly. And again, I'm not blasting it, I'm not putting tons of particles in the air. Yes, I should be using a respirator, and my advice to everybody is to use one. The reason that I'm not is because I could be muffled. Probably am muffled anyway. But that's all we need to do, making sure we get the back, just in case it is showing a little bit. Put that to one side. The control column, where we need to paint, we just paint it. So we'll continue to paint her on, making sure we've got paint everywhere we need it. Just so that she's ready. So that looks quite good. And it's ready to go. We've got a couple of other bits we need to paint. So we just lay the paint down. Again, being very gentle. With the mil specs, there's no need to thin it. It's perfectly good out of the bottle. It works really nicely. As you can see, no splitters and spatters, which is a good thing. And then we'll do this side as well, making sure the areas are covered. We'll come down just along the top to make those areas covered. Lovely image, got that door. That's all we're doing. Just lightly spraying the door in. We'll come back and hand paint that and weather it later. That's the first lot of painting done. And that'll be the end of part 1.